Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Iowa soccer supporters. I'm Ben Brackett, alongside my good buddy and co-host Blake Siberz. Siebes, it's been a real long time. How are you?
I'm good. It's been the summer, right?
Yeah, since the state tournament last year, really.
Interesting timing for our next group of pods.
Exactly. Let's just segue right into it. Let's welcome, were you guys the 2A girls state champion? We've got the coach, Dan James, here. Dan, welcome to the pod. This is your first time all by yourself up here, isn't it?
This is, I think I've always been joined by a couple girls down at the state tournament.
Yeah.
First time hanging with you guys, so.
I love it.
So do you know what we're talking about today, Dan? Tactics and how to break.
Out of the back.
Yeah, how to break a press in a 4-3-3.
We're in a 3-5-2, so we'll break it with our field here this year.
Big congrats, obviously, on the title last year in the spring. Give us a little rundown, a quick review of the season, and obviously looking back on it a little bit. Hopefully, maybe it's sunk in a little more. Or what are your feelings, thoughts?
Yeah, it's that time of year where all the coaches, obviously, we're here at a symposium. Everybody's getting up for this time of year, but as we've already talked about as a team, last year was another amazing run. But looking back on the season, I don't think the girls knew that they were going to be targeted that much after coming off a 22-0 year the before, and so we had a couple hiccups last year. When we lost a couple tough battles, but then it was some growing pains for us just to understand that everybody's going to give you your best shot, and you're going to lose a couple along the way there too. So it kind of brought us together a little bit as a team, and then I think we kind of refocused after those couple losses, and we had a great run then for the last 6 weeks of the season to make it through the state tournament and win another state title there.
Were those losses a good thing, do you think, looking back on it?
You never like to lose, but at the same time, Omaha Scud is they're solid. They're really good, and so they gave us a good battle, and they got up on us early, but we battled the whole game. It was a 1-goal game, but we learned a lot. We had to move some girls around after that game, so it was good to get that high quality. And then we came back a couple weeks later with a loss to Dowling, and then that was probably the most humbling loss to our girls. It was 2-0, first time we'd been shut out in quite a while, so it was good. And then we just figured, we realized at that point that we're pretty darn good, but we just can't step on the field and expect to win every single game there. So, it wasn't great to lose, but if you're going to lose one, it's great to do it at the beginning of the year where you can get focused and come back and figure out where you're right and wrong and get some of the attitudes and the mindsets right for the rest of the year there too.
Do you think there was like a specific defining moment from the season where you guys, whether you turned the corner or anything like that?
Oh, after those couple losses, we had to grow up, but then we lost to Waverly in overtime and on PKs. But after the game, our girls we came back.
And that was a day-long tournament kind of game, right?
Yeah, there was.
It wasn't a one-off, but you played a couple games that day. Yeah.
And they were stoked. Because we beat them in the state finals the year before. They were up for it to play us, and our girls after that, and they came back, and we realized. The girls came back and said we didn't play that well. We controlled the game, but we didn't put the ball in the back of the net, and obviously in the game of soccer, that's what it takes. So I think after that game, we came back and we did a couple different activities there too, just to trying to find a larger purpose. And some of the parents wrote letters to the girls, how much they enjoyed watching them play. So it's one of those things. I talked to Lane on the boys' side. He goes, "Well, I don't know if we could do that," but the girls like some of those sappy, emotional things there too. And so they say we like to have good cries every once in a while. So I've learned that, coach, on the girl. And then we went back after that loss, read some of those. I'm like, man, I got great teammates. I've got great coaches, and so they were in hey, this is it. We're going to go run the table the rest of the year, and they did that after that game there too.
So talk a little bit about how you build a culture like that, because you mentioned generally speaking, young ladies are maybe more inclined to talk about their feelings than young guys, but you still, you're still pretty vulnerable in a big group of people. How do you build that culture? And then I guess I was trying to think how you guys have been a winning program for a while now, but you've got you're back-to-back state champions, and regularly at the state tournament and making some noise. So how have you kind of built that culture? Just to be able to get to that point in the middle of the season where maybe things aren't going great and to be able to bring them together. That's not something that's not magic. You've learned that. You've done that over time.
I mean, the girls come in and view club and high school as two totally separate experiences for these kids too. And like now we're playing with just our friends, and I had to understand that like when you go in, I mean, we'll hammer it, and these girls are tough as nails. I mean, they'll get after it for a few days, but then there's days that we just have to understand that, hey, we're friends. We got to do some more of the team building dynamics. And I've learned over the year. I mean, I'll give them a couple times a week. I said, hey, you have to take ownership. The first 20 or 30 minutes of practice is yours today, and it winds up they'll do similar activities than what we would have done. But when you give them ownership, that's their team now, and then it's not me saying, hey, you need to pick up the effort level here in practice. Now they're in charge of the activities every once in a while, so that just gives them a little ownership. So I found that's huge. I mean, I don't know if it's the boys might find it the same, but especially with these girls that we've had for the last 10 years, like I give them a little bit of ownership. So now they're holding each other accountable, and I think they appreciate that too. And there's some groups. I mean, you have to understand the groups you're with too, but for the most part, I understand which teams can handle that and which can't there too. So yeah, I mean, it's just things like that. And the girls, they think it's awesome that us coaches will dress alike and that sort of thing. They always say, hey, can you guys wear this for us tomorrow and this for us tomorrow? And we used to think it was kind of silly, but it's one of those things those girls like, and they always like, oh, what's coming up tomorrow? So I mean, it's just one of those things like, oh man, one of you guys didn't wear the same shorts, that's why we lost last week.
I was going to say we should interject and say that you guys may be the best dressed coaching staff at the state tournament. We got a nod in the background from Jim Frizzell, so you got his approval.
Yeah, so there's been already some coordination coming up for this season. So I mean, it's something the girls razz us about, but you just find those little things that the girls like, and then they'll take it and run with it. I mean, we've got another thing that I've done. I thought I was going to kill it a couple of times, but we read letters to the girls, like from the coaching staff before the regional final game, and we address them, and then we just say, and some that Anson Dorrance did, and I tried to steal from some of the best of them there too, and for you, Emma, we shall win this game for you, it's signed, and we do that, and then there's not a dry eye in the room there when we do those things, but the girls just like to see the vulnerable side of coaches every once in a while too. I think the guys do, but the guys are just going to make fun of you if you do that too.
That's true.
So they're like, when I told Coach Lane that we did some of that, he goes, yeah, if you did that, he's going to like, hey Johnny, look, your dad loves you. Like, so
yeah.
The girls are just like, and the girls are like, oh, that's awesome, I didn't know that about you. I mean, so it's just two totally different beasts. It took me a few years to learn that, but after several years you kind of figure those things out about girls.
Who was better, the attack or the stingy defense last year? Because you guys scored loads of goals and you kept out a lot of goals as well.
That's a loaded question.
I know.
There.
And we're not going to let you off the hook. There's got to be.
I would have said up until the state. I mean, I thought our offense was outstanding. I mean, 10 goals in the first game. I mean, that doesn't happen in the state tournament to do that in one half. And then when Knief broke her leg 10 minutes into that second game, it was where we still scored a couple goals, but we had to ride that defense winning 1-0 and 2-0. So our offense got us there, but our defense won us that championship there. So I'm going to balance it out there a little bit there too. So
what was the answer then? I don't know.
I mean, but like that defense was stingy, and yeah, I don't know.
So you're going to lose an all-tournament team, and I assume all-state goalkeeper. So you've got to replace your goalkeeper. That's a big one for you. Yeah. Remind me that young lady's name. She's a stud.
Maya Fritz.
That's right. She's playing college here.
She had a great season at Grandview this last year.
Awesome. Okay. So you lose her, and there's a couple other seniors that depart, right?
Elena Bartak played in the midfield there too, and she was
also stud.
Went down to Missouri State, all freshman team, so she's another tough one. I mean, Cammie Smith was playing out wide there too, played a ton of minutes throughout the year there. Caroline White played quite a bit on the defensive side there too. She was injured for good chunk of the season, but came back, started an outside back there.
So you've got talent to replace, but then also like big time leaders.
Yes, I mean, we had lost some of those big leaders. I mean, Mike Fritz and Elena Bartak in that defense, I mean, that's two huge pieces. So, like, right now, I'd probably say we're more confident in the offensive side coming in this year because we got to replace holding mid and our goalie. We've got girls we think we can do that, but it's just going to take a few weeks to maybe exactly determine how well they can step up into that role.
How about the old super fan? Like, let's not forget about that guy on the sideline. His daughter played like wide midfield or something, but he would get the crowd pumped up, muscles. Like anybody wanted to go near him, he would like squish anybody.
Yeah. So Ryan Williamson, that's Neela. She played center back for us last year, and she's an awesome kid. But then her dad is also like a huge. We did that like a one-off in the first year, like 3 years ago, and then the girls just like that was awesome. And so every time I tell you, he goes, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this," and he goes, And then last year, like right before the finals, he brought all the dads around the girls and did a big circle and like just went off, just screaming like, "Look at these guys here to save you and to protect you." And like, and then again, it's just one of those things that the girls do. And there wasn't a dry eye with the dads. When you see all these dads just sobbing, like just like, "That's my kid. I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna support you as 100% as I can there." So, and Ryan's been great, and so I'll send you a sneak preview when we get our hype video done, because that guy's gonna be in our hype video getting us.
I love it.
State going.
Yeah, for those that don't know, this is the dad. Like, you know, I mean, you assume he's the dad, but he's on the sideline, especially the state tournament, right? You actually get to sit on the field as opposed to up in the bleachers. But he like turns around and gets the entire crowd, like shouts as loud as he can, and gets running up and down and so loud. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, Ryan's awesome. I mean, 2 years ago, we were in Urbandale, and I remember sitting, and we were like, "Man, what's going to be kind of our mantra for this?" We were still trying to find our identity, and Dad was like, "Get to work," and he kept going, "Work," and every time Neela touched the ball, "Work, Neela, work." And then I'm like, that's what we have to do more of it. And that team was in the weight room all the time. They were coming in before school, getting extra touches on the ball. They were just doing it. They were out working everybody. So we got shirts, and he goes, "Yeah, that's awesome if you make a work shirt, but I get a shirt." So he's on the sideline sporting his shirt that just says "work" on it. And so, and that was like a couple years ago when we won our first title. Like, we had a shirt, and I just said "work" on it, just because that guy is just, he's been awesome to work with. And so, yeah. I mean, he comes into the postseason, and just, yeah, we don't during the regular season, but he's a staple of the postseason, just getting the girls ready to go, and then helping the fans and the parents get ready to roll during those times when those girls need a little extra support.
How do you approach things as a perennial winner, season to season, to freshen things up? Like you mentioned a mantra last season. Do you come up with a new mantra this season, or a different way to win, or do you just try to kind of, you know, like always be a team that plays a 3-5-2, that plays a certain way that, you know, I was just curious. I know, like, I've played with coaches before where it's like season to season, it's let's just reinvent it, and it's like, I don't know, sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad.
I mean, we've got our staples. Like, I mean, we've got this saying that happened, I mean, 20 some years ago, that you'll see on anything on social media. It's always "tear it up." And these girls thought of this 20 years ago, and they asked me if I'd say "give me some lovin'," and I said, "No, I'm not saying that in the huddle." Well, if you go to any huddle we have, I'm saying,
Good choice, Dan.
Give me some. Well, I say it every time now when we break it down. "Give me some lovin'," and they say "tear it up." But it was one of these things these girls asked. I mean, when Libby Ruick, she came and talked to our girls 2 years ago. How it started, it was one of those things. The girls would score a goal and they want a little love, and they just say, "Hey, give me some lovin'," and then the whole team would respond, "tear it up," and they go, "Will you say that?" And I'm like, "No, I wouldn't say that." And Libby goes, "What?" And it was our first or second game. She goes, "Hey, we play 8L tonight." She goes, "If we make you look good, then you get to say it." And I'm like, "All right, fair." And they went out, won like 4-5-0. Libby goes, "Well, we made you look pretty good tonight, coach." So it's been going. So that's been like the hashtag. So things like that. But then she came and explained to it. It wasn't just like a frou-frou thing. It was one of those things. Hey, we scored a goal. Let's give each other a little bit of love here, too. So I mean, that's
cool.
One of those things that stayed. But every year, like I give the girls ownership. They get to come up with like their own little motto or message. Like this year was, we're pretty senior loaded this year. Our senior class is really talented, but then they put on the back of their shirts, "leave our mark," because they just said, "Hey, this is the year, like, we're seniors now, we've got a good thing, but we just want to leave our mark." But I mean, we've been to three straight title games, but like, can we go and do it again and just leave our mark? And here's be one of the best programs to ever come through Dallas Center Grimes.
My last one for you: if the 2022 team matches up against the 2023 team, what's the result? Because they're both state champions.
They're the 2020.
Right, the last 2 years. Your last two state champion teams.
Oh man, that's.
And I know their players are shared, but say you can just get on the video game, you get on FIFA, and the same players play.
You go 22-0. It's hard to doubt a team that goes 22-0 there too. I mean, that team had a special connection in it too, and we got that by the end of last year, but it was just a special connection. I mean, those kind of seasons don't happen very often. So I'd say that 22 with just a slight edge. They outscore them 3-2 in the finals.
I love it. Is it easier to win the first one or easier to repeat? Or more difficult, whatever you want to.
That was the first one was my 5th time in the state finals. So I think that monkey finally getting that off the back there too. I mean, 12 years ago we ran at Xavier, who won like 7 or 8 in a row, and we lost to them 1-0 2 years in a row. So that was tough there a couple times, and then Waverly kept knocking us off. So that first one, that was just the girls. We got over that hump. They knew they could do it. And then last year, I don't want to say we expected to do it, but it wasn't like, oh man, we're in the state finals. Yeah, this is an expectation of what we should have happening here.
Three-peat?
That's the goal. Yeah, I mean,
that's probably the mantra this year, isn't it? Only the great teams do it 3 times.
Yeah, so I mean, nothing's promised, but I think this team should be right in that top mix. I mean, this group should be competing for it this year.
Well, I've got other questions, but this is a perfect little way to wrap it up. So thank you for your time, and best of luck this spring. We'll look forward to seeing you on the Roundtable podcast as well. What else you got, Siebes?
Love it. Congrats. 6 months later, or whenever.
Yeah, a little delayed.
No, appreciate you guys keep giving soccer some extra love here in the States, so it's awesome, and these girls feel it's big time when they get to hang out with you in the postseason there too. So.
Oh, well, I can't wait to see what kind of flair outfits or whatever they've got for us this year. So let's hope we get to see it.
We might have to bring now you're putting me on the spot, and we might have to bring it a little bit harder this year.
Oh, I love it. All right, well, best of luck. Thanks.
Thanks.